Hi friends, I'm Tammy Kaale. Welcome to my channel, and today I'm so excited because I am upgrading my watercolor palette. I'm going to be showing you a little swatching. I'm going to be showing you filling the little palette up and just having so much joy with it. You might ask, why do I need another watercolor palette since I have this one, this one, this one, and another one? I don't know. To which I say, can you ever have enough watercolor palettes? No, you cannot. So today we're taking the Winsor and Newton, this lovely 12 tubed kit. We're taking this beautiful thing. Look at this palette. How do you open this? This little palette, a whole handful of more tube paints. Let's get into it, guys. I'm so excited to start. And we might even paint something in the end. Ooh. So we're starting out getting our paints all in order. And if you don't want to see this part, you want to skip to the painting, you can go ahead. But this is how I organize. I have my paper towel. And then I also have some Q-tips and some toothpicks just for cleanup because sometimes this gets a little messy. So here I am organizing from my warm colors to my cools. Reds, pinks, yellows, oranges, yellows, purples, and then greens, blues, purples, there on the bottom, and with the dark colors. And I just start adding in this paint. So the reason why I like to separate in this way, and I did learn this some years ago from Jenna Rainey, who actually used a similar palette. She might still do. So she separates, and the reason why you want to separate is because you want to avoid muddy colors as much as possible. So if you were to mix together two primaries, so primary is red, yellow, blue, then you're going to get a secondary color, and that's great. But when you mix together color that has two of the primaries and a color that has one of the other primaries, so you have all three, red, blue, and yellow together, you get brown and muddy. This is me scooping out some orange because I realized I didn't want orange mixing with the purples. Again, we're gonna get muddy colors in that same tray right there. So I have my warms on the right and I have my cools on the left, technically speaking, kind of how it works. And I also have two sets of yellows. You can see there, I've got cadmium yellow on the left and the right, and I've got a lemon yellow on the left and the right. And that's because I'm using those yellows to mix in with the greens. If the yellow has been touched by any of the greens or the blues, it's gonna get that mud, kind of the mud if it mixes with the warm side and using the same yellow. Does that make sense? It's a little confusing. But we want to keep our colors vibrant and gorgeous and all the things. And then I like to add in my more neutrally type colors, burnt umber. We also have burnt sienna, and we finally have a Payne's gray. And that's why I fill my tray, guys. Look at how gorgeous it is. Absolutely fun. Let it sit and dry out for a day, and then you're ready to paint. Okay, so now I wanted to paint for you guys, and we are going to be doing some swatching. So I don't know if I've seen anyone swatch like this before. This is non-traditional. But essentially what I'm doing is I'm going to take all the different colors in this palette and I'm going to create this vibrant floral composition. So within this floral right here, I'm grabbing different reds and different pinks to be able to create the different petals. So as I'm explaining the colors, I'm not necessarily going through names, but I have them all listed in the description if you're wanting to look into them. This is a great way to not only create something beautiful and to just capitalize on all of your colors, but then to be able to see how they can flow together in a fashion like this. So traditionally your flowers are gonna have all the petals the same color, right? But within this, I thought it would be fun just to play it up a little bit, maybe create some rainbow florals and have a lot of fun. So when I was purchasing my palette and I was purchasing the colors I wanted to have, I took a long time to make the decisions because I wanted to have a variation of colors. So you can see on my palette, for example, I've got this really light orange color, but then I have a dark orange as well. I wanted to have more of a bluish purple as well as more of a reddish purple, and then various shades or types of pink, some that are more magenta, some that are more like light and rosy, and a little bit of a soft pastel colors, that kind of thing. And I also wanted to make sure that I had aqua and that I had turquoise, because those are, and cobalt blue, don't forget cobalt blue. Those are some of my favorite colors. They're so beautiful and vibrant. Here's the turquoise color right now coming through. And so what we're doing here is we're going to do 3 florals that are large, that are the centerpieces that your eyes are drawn to. And then we're going to add in some other smaller florals. And I like to, when I'm doing composition like this, I like to change up the perspective. So now I'm just using the belly of the brush, and I'm just adding in 5 kind of little points here, using the brush to be able to work for me. So it's giving me that shape. I don't have to just, essentially paint or draw that in. And what we're also wanting to do is get the eye to kind of dance around the page. So for example, there, you can see a zigzag pattern with the aqua flowers, boom, to the right, then kind of down to the left, and then back down to the right. And getting your eye to zigzag around. We're trying to do a balance here. And so same with these lovely blue florals, these tiny ones, which I'm just doing. I did like 3, 4, 5 petals at the top. And then now I'm just, adding in kind of really quick brush strokes, knowing that it doesn't really matter exactly how I'm putting those in. This is a very loose floral composition. And as is my style, at least of, lately, I really like to work on that second and even sometimes third layers. So we'll see how we do today. I've taken a really small brush. I think this is actually a 000. You can use a 1 or a 2. And we're going to make some lovely sap green stems so that we can start to attach some green foliage to this. Starting to fill out, we've got the blossoms, and now we need the leaves in there and some of those vines, maybe some branches, depending on how we're feeling. I'm also planning on leaving a good amount of white space around. Again, we're using that belly of the brush, just pressing down that shape, getting a little bit smaller as we get towards the top. And if you want to, you can change up your greens as well. So you could start with sap green, and then maybe you could add in some turquoise or hooker's green and just really play around with it. So why am I calling this swatching? Because typically when people are swatching their colors, they are putting little circles or squares down of each color, about the same amount of paint ratio to water, and then they can see, that transparency and how beautiful it is. But I feel like this is just as good, because you are not only painting something meaningful as you are swatching, because we were going to paint something anyway, and we were going to swatch, but now we are doing both together. So painting something meaningful and gorgeous, and then you are still seeing how these different colors play out. They're next to each other, kind of mixing it up. Now, if you really want to be more technical, you can take a black waterproof pen. Waterproof just because it might get wet and you don't want your ink to spread necessarily. And you can just write the names. For example, these leaves here that are just kind of glowy and really like that nice bright yellowy green, that's called green gold. And we're adding in some beautiful oranges here. If you want to write the name next to some of them, like just take a little line and then, draw that line outside to the white space, write the name in, and that can be really fun. So my goal today here is to be non-traditional and to enjoy, and hopefully, teaching some skills in terms of painting loose florals in the meantime. So now I'm grabbing more of a more saturated color. I've been doing really light washes of color, but I thought a nice bright orange pop would be good. And this particular orange color, it makes me laugh because it's called transparent orange. And I don't know if it makes me laugh, but I just think it's kind of funny because, does it look transparent at all right now? Well, no, because I've just put on so much paint that you can't see that transparency. It's more opaque. But anyway, it's just a beautiful color. Absolutely gorgeous. It's definitely a darker orange. It looks like it's red on the palette. It's a lot darker than the cadmium orange, the lighter color that I have for my palette as well. So we are just trying to color it, all the things. We are doing this rainbow bouquet. So I'm adding in some of that lovely cadmium yellow color and a little tiny brush strokes. If you think of when you're doing like loose snapdragons, you kind of, for me, I like to do just kind of little boop boop like 2 little brush strokes and then move a little over up the vine. We're gonna put the vine in later. And then 2 more brush strokes, and then you go all the way up to the top, getting thinner and smaller as you get towards the top. And now I'm just connecting a lot of these blooms together with some nice green to create some branches and just making everything look dainty. And this is why I like this 000 brush, which it is very thin. You don't need it to be that thin, but look at the lines that I'm getting. There's a lot of precision, which is really, really nice. So I've got these other florals here. Maybe they're not a floral, maybe they're more like a kind of an oval eucalyptus or something, but that brilliant aqua color just makes my day. And I had to add that into my palette with the turquoise. The turquoise in general is my favorite color, but this aqua is just really becoming one of my favorites quite quickly. So at this point, you know, you're looking at how you're swatching things up. I'm going to start doing another layer. I started here with a number 8 round. I'm switching it up to a 2 because I'm realizing I want more dainty brushstrokes than that. So sorry that my hand, the way it's positioning, is kind of covering up what I'm doing. Hopefully as I move around, you can see more what I'm doing, but I'm literally just taking really pretty dark paint. I'm attending to a lot of the center and then kind of just marking where those petals are, like the edges of the petals. You can even do the center, you can do the tips of the petals, and you're just creating shadows, texture, dimension, interest, all that, because right now we have a very flat painting. So we're just mixing and matching together. And as you're doing this, you're going to start seeing how some of these colors really look beautiful next to each other, how they go well together, and others maybe not so much. And since we've already dried that first layer, we don't have to worry about muddy colors in any way. We don't have to worry that the bottom color might have some primers and then that top color would have another primary that would make muddy colors mixed together because, well, everything is dry, so that's not something you have to be concerned about. So I'm drawing out the color thickly, can you say thickly, in some areas and just thin amounts in others. And what I do love to do is take a larger brush, and I like to make sure that it is damp and clean. And then we can just start spreading out the color that we put down so that we're getting softer edges in our details, in our design. So just tiny little marks. You can do little tiny notches on the ends of it. And this one I'm just going for it. I've got that beautiful turquoise. We're gonna reach for the aqua as well. I know that I probably should be using the actual names of these. It's gonna be helpful for you. So the aqua green is what I've been calling turquoise. And then the aqua is actually called Cobalt Turquoise Light. So a little confusing, but I guess here's the traditional names in case you're wondering, in case you're wanting to purchase them as well. But they're beautiful. So far, guys, I am thrilled with the Winsor and Newton color palette, the colors I've chosen. And guys, it took me so long, I promise you, so long to choose the colors I wanted. I mean, I did the research online. I was kind of comparing, and then I went online and Googled the different colors, seeing people swatching them next to each other to really know, because I didn't want to buy a bunch of colors that I could, you know, create lighter versions of them, and then I didn't want to buy the lighter versions just by adding water. So I wanted to make sure that these were pretty unique on my palette so that I could have a good time. So right now I'm just adding in some darker blue on those little blue florals. I'm creating some texture and just keeping it pretty simple. And so far, things are starting to come together. I'm really loving this. I have never done rainbow flowers before that I know of. I have mixed and matched like rainbow colors in a bouquet, of course, or maybe just, you know, taking one type of flower and then painting it with 3 or 4 different colors, you know, each one a different color, but not actually using all the colors on my palette, guys. Like, this is just the best thing ever. I hope you're having fun. I should say, if you're having a good time, make sure to like the video and please subscribe to my channel so you guys don't miss out on all the fun. And also, guys, I teach watercolor on Patreon. So if you're interested in bonus content like exclusive tutorials, live stream with me, and so much more, then click the link in the description. And even for some of those tiers, you can start a free 7-day trial just to check it out. and all the things. Okay, so I haven't used the neutral colors yet. We are going to start adding in the centers of my flowers, and this is just such a fun time. And so I'm, in my head, I'm trying to figure out, am I gonna stipple in the middle? And then I'm thinking, no, I'm just gonna add in some fancy swooping lines because that's just beautiful. Kind of looks like an anemone center, kind of looks like a poppy center, kind of looks like a peony except black instead of yellow. Now with this blue floral, I've decided to add the burnt sienna, and we'll add in black over the top later. We gotta wait for things to dry. Now, if you're finding, also a little tip, right here, everything is a little bit wet. So instead of hitting it up with a heat gun, I'm just gonna take a paper towel and I'm just gonna blot it, guys. That's all you have to do. Boom, it's dry. So if you're worried about that because you don't wanna put in your center because it's gonna spread because all the paint is wet underneath, blot it and you're good to go. So I'm feeling fancy today. So these florals are gonna be feeling fancy as well. And I'm going to extend these and make them quite accentuated. So nice long stamen, and then we're going to add in those beautiful dots that create such a fancy floral middle. Let's make these longer too. I just think that they will look really pretty exaggerated. Absolutely. And I'm still using that 000. Use what you got though, guys. I list all the supplies in the description, but I want you to use what you have because if you have it, then you're gonna use it. If you don't have it, you're not gonna use anything, right? If you're waiting for the specific supplies, then you won't be able to paint, and I don't want you to waste any time. Are you having fun so far? I hope so. I just blotted the blue one so we can do the same type of thing. So it has the brown in the center, which is taking away that white paper and just giving us a slightly different look to the center of the floral. So same long lines, lovely little dots. Man, they're looking fancy today. I hope that yours are looking fancy. I hope that you are enjoying painting with me. If you're not really sure, take a breath. Remind yourself, this is supposed to be fun, right, guys? This is the thing that I always say. With every brush stroke, you're getting better. And I just am so glad that you're here. Whether you're painting with me or not, whether you're gonna paint later, I'm just glad that you're watching this video, and hopefully this will inspire you to do some more painting later. Just a few little dark centers for my cute little flowers. I'm taking the thin brush and I'm darkening up some of the stems, adding in those stems. Make sure that you allow yourself to let them be wonky. They do not have to be stick straight because sticks are not straight, right? They are wonky. I was gonna say they bend and fold, but they have, the contour of a stick. It's not gonna be just like a straight board. You're gonna have some movement to that, and that's important to make sure that you emulate as well. So now I'm grabbing some of my green. We're just adding in some nice green to fill out our composition. Don't be afraid to do this, even if what you're adding in is not like considered leaf shape like, because the eye is not gonna see those tiny little details. It's focusing on the entire picture. How does the composition look in general? So we're darkening up some of our lovely leaves as well. So when I darken up and I add that second or third layer, I'm just adding in the paint that is a little more saturated, has less water in it than before. So I'm curious in comments, let me know what you think about this idea of swatching. I know some people will say this is not swatching, this is just painting. But for me, like I said, I wanted to see, especially with that first layer, the transparency of each color and seeing them side by side and using them all at once. So to me, I feel like it counts. We can always make up our own ways of doing things. And we often find some exciting results when we go outside those lines and, try something different. So I've added a little bit more of the color and then some splatter too, just to make this really come together. So I hope you enjoyed that. I thoroughly did. It took me a long time to do this, but look at how pretty. I have many different colors in here. I'm so excited to use it. And if you're interested in purchasing the paints with my affiliated link, it's down there in the description, and I've listed out the colors. Guys, thank you for being here. I'll see you soon on the next video.